audience, Pete, aka the Peteman, is an excellent Risk player and a deep thinker. Today we are playing Risk Online while talking about some deep topics like religion and God. I'm gonna get destroyed. Pete is way better than me, but I'm almost Grandmaster, so that's exciting. There we go.
Well, you won't be getting destroyed when talking about God, right? You said you're a theology student?
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. So we're going real deep.
Oh yeah.
I like to just throw a caveat out at the beginning of the show. I like to speak honestly and directly, and about as honestly and directly as the platform will allow. But the asterisk I want to put on the whole show when we do talk about potentially controversial or divisive topics like religion and God, I never intend to offend anyone. I love all people, and that is my core message, right? I want to send that out as loud and as clear as I can. I love all of you, and I will speak what I think is true until proven otherwise. And that just kind of helps to preempt a little bit of the you disagree with me, therefore you're wrong type response that is so common on the internet.
Yeah, I'm not looking to reach an agreement or change your mind or like debate. This is really just a discussion, just have fun.
Oh, I love it.
Delve into what we believe and why.
I love it. Yes, please show me where I am mistaken, because I'm sure I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You want me to link to your show maybe if we are going to play a Foggy
Doesn't
Caps
matter.
game? You know, I don't want to peek in your show before.
You don't need to promote my show. I mean, the thing is, I do Minecraft content, so the viewership doesn't really translate.
Okay,
But
so
I'll be sure to promote you.
Minecraft people aren't into Risk?
I mean, I'm sure many of them are. It's just, I don't know. People have different interests.
They got to give us a chance. That's all.
Yeah. So do you want to set up the? I'm not too well versed in setting up matches.
You tell me what you'd like me to set up for you.
Would you prefer Europe Advanced or Classic?
Both will give us the opportunity to chat for 2 hours, I imagine. Europe Advanced tends to be more fun for the viewers.
Okay, well then let's go Europe Advanced.
All right, so we're going to play the Risk meta settings, Europe Advanced Progressive Capitals, Fog Blizzard, Auto, Progressive, with an expert bot, but we probably won't have anyone. 60-second turn timer, no alliances, bounce blitz dice, and I'm going to send the code off to Isaiah. Can I call you Isaiah?
Yep.
Yeah, let's make sure we save a seat for him. But other than that, everyone else is welcome. You want to play a Caps game with me? This might be the one time I don't have the play with friends rule that I just automatically win after an hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do I join?
So you see that code I DM'd? So you put that in the you go into casual private, then you go to a little ABC in the bottom left, and that's where you input that game ID. It'll take us to this lobby.
Cool.
There he is.
It's exciting.
I am Shadow Rogue. Can I have an answer on the kitty cats? What is the question, sir? Do we get to see them? They're good. They're not currently in the room, but if and when we get a cat on that chair, I will absolutely turn the camera on. Come on, folks. You know you want to play Prodcast with the old Peteman. Well,
I'm really bad at. Sorry.
Tell me about you. Like, who are you in all of this? What's your story?
I'm a college student. I play Minecraft.
Yep. Don't forget to ready up. Get the ready.
All right. Yeah. I've played way too much Minecraft, but and so I've made a career out of just making Minecraft videos. But I do tend to obsess over Risk because I came across your channel, and then I watched 100+ all the way through because I get a bit obsessive about things.
Me too, man. But that's that's pretty intense.
Yeah. I'm really bad at progressive, so I'm scared I'm gonna
more of a
lose
classic
right away.
fixed player.
Yeah, I like fixed
because it's like psychological, diplomatic.
I think it's because I feel like I have much more control over what happens.
Mm. Yeah, so it's a bit of a knowledge gap is all.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I've won a few
Mm-hmm.
progressive games, but that's maybe like I've played it under 10 times.
Okay. Well, prog caps is different than regular progressive. The capital ideally gives you a little bit of defensive power, but
Yeah.
I have almost 200 of these on YouTube now. They're very popular. I like them too, so part of why I do anything is I enjoy it. Don't love my cap options though. Hmm. Okay. Let's see how that goes. You watched the show and you said, "Hey, I want to talk to this guy."
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah, I didn't think it would happen so quick. Yeah. Most people don't respond, most creators, because I reach out to a lot of people just because I'm like, who cares if if they're like, nah.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. What is is this just to satisfy your curiosity?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's for fun. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun.
you like connecting with people.
Yeah.
Well, you've come to some amazing success on YouTube there, right? Your Minecraft numbers are incredible.
Thank you.
Almost like why bother with college at this point, right?
Well, it's for fun, really. Because I love philosophy and theology so much that I'm not studying anything that will land me a career. Really, I plan on just continuing to build on social media, which I've been kind of bad about it lately, but I'm about to whatever. Uh, Alongside like a company, because a lot of creators don't realize that the key to having Mr. Beast level of success is by having a company, because you have such a massive audience, but then nothing to sell. It's like it's a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. Oh, look at that. We
Uh,
found each other.
yep, and you found blue.
Okay, so this is bad for everybody involved. Good to know.
Yeah.
Sorry guys. Well, do you seek Mr. Beast levels of success, or are you saying you're just doing
Yeah.
this kind of for fun and you found yourself successful?
No, I seek Mr. Beast levels of success.
Okay, so school's for fun. This is your kind of career idea.
Yeah.
Okay, right on.
Well, although I am very passionate about what I do, so it's not like it's some hollow materialistic thing.
Well, I think that's the hallmark of a successful entrepreneurship, right? You have to love the product at least a little
Yeah.
bit in order to sell it authentically.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I do like no sponsorships, because almost every company there's just something I don't really like about their product. And I'm like, I'd rather not betray the trust of my audience. I think that's far more valuable than making a quick buck.
Okay, I would generally agree with that principle.
What are your goals with making content? What's the end game?
Oh man, nothing so defined. So I've been playing Risk for 4 years now as my primary hobby. I basically just fell in love with it, um, and then also realized that I was better than I thought I was. So the competitive part of my mind goes, "All right, how good are you?" Um, and then we set ourselves upon that journey of making content to show our work a little bit, also just to improve ourselves. Right? There's no greater critic, no more useful critic than yourself, if you're honest. And if you can look at um, your mistakes somewhat objectively, just like, okay, try not to do that one again. Right. So the act of recording my show made me a much, much better player. And then the content was successful completely outside of any intentionality or expectation. Right? I got very, very lucky that people, for whatever reason, are interested in what this version of Pete has to say. And I'm sure to some extent it's because, I'm reasonably good at the game, and then to some extent it's because I'm charming or kind or wise or whatever, or just funny or fun. Who knows? I still kind of struggle with the why, but it's not to say I'm not grateful, right? I'm very grateful that I've been afforded it's a rare gift, right? Like, not everybody gets the opportunity to make a living speaking into a microphone and have that work be received.
Yeah, I think you have an...
I'm not hitting you, Black. Come on. What if Black thought I was going to break them? I just need something.
Yeah, I think you have an excellent on-screen presence, and I think that's one of the primary motivators of your success in your niche.
Yeah, well, I mean, that didn't come from anywhere. Like, if you go back and watch my first show, it's like you do something every day, you get a little bit better at it, ideally.
Yeah.
But thank you. I very much appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, I've definitely got a journey ahead of me in terms of reaching the same level of comfort on camera. I did a series, it was a 30-day series, and I streamed like 3 to 6 hours a day every day, and so that was massive. But the amount of time you've spent streaming, do you know the numbers on that?
I can look them up. What are you trying to know?
Just how much have you streamed, period?
On Twitch? Let's find out.
Yeah.
Let's go lifetime Twitch hours. That'll be a fun investigation. So I first started streaming on Twitch in May 2021. So we're coming up on 3 years on Twitch. And I wouldn't even say, like, the bulk of my work is on YouTube, right? I wouldn't even say this is the majority of the hours. I have almost 2,000 YouTube videos. I'm putting out 14 shows a week.
That's absurd.
It doesn't feel like work, man. I got to tell you. Like, if it did, I'd probably do it less. I'm not. I don't think of myself as a hard worker. I think of myself actually as quite lazy, which I know is really odd for people to hear. But I go back. How do I do a custom time range? So I'm not scrolling. I'll just scroll back 2 years. It's fine. Oh my god. Oh my god. What is happening? This is what happens when you risk and chat. Okay, total hours. May 2021. I've never looked at the stat. Time streamed is 1,514 hours.
1,500? That's
more or less than you expected.
I didn't have a number that I expected, to be honest.
Right.
Dang.
Yep. Well, the one that gets me is, and I'm sure you're somewhere similar, is the watch hours on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, on my main channel, we're at, 20 million lifetime watch hours, which is...
It's absurd.
No, sorry, not 20 million, 10 million. 10 million watch hours, which is, however many multiples of my lifetime. It's mind-boggling. It's such an honor, right, to realize that folks enjoy what you have to say enough to give you that piece of their life.
Yeah, that really hit me when I had my first mega viral video on TikTok, and I look at the watch hours and I'm like, I realize, like, it's just impossible to put it into perspective. Like, how could so many people actually be watching your content, because it never affected me in my daily life. I mean, sure, I got recognized a few times, but the money like on TikTok, that didn't really make a dent. So I'm like it's almost like in a vacuum. It's like it's not real.
Yeah. I think the part that makes it real, or sorry, the part that makes it not real, is the distance we have between us and our audience. Like, if I'm to look at my daily stats, say I'm talking to 50,000 people a day, right? And I don't have to face them. I don't have to stand on the stage in an enormous stadium and look at all those eyeballs on me. But like, those are people, right? Those are individual people who have lives and matter and hopes and dreams, right? And that's what makes it unreal, is that they're
Yeah.
just hanging out watching whatever stupid stupid jokes I make, or it's just, oh man, very overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy though, because to stream, because I mean, right now, since I'm not streaming my usual stuff, the viewership is a little lower. I mean, I don't get a lot of viewership on streams because, when you're a shorts creator, it doesn't really translate. But when I stream, it's like I'm talking to just my camera. It's like, sure, I see people in chat, but it's almost like they're not real. Whereas I'll be, I've I've been in a classroom. I'm doing online now, but when I was in a classroom, um, I got like super nervous if I had to talk in front of people, and I'm like, what is going on? This does not make sense to be reaching a massive audience constantly, but then be nervous in front of like maybe 10, 15 people.
And has that been has that been your story the whole time? Are you a person with a bit of social anxiety or whatnot?
Um, I've always been very shy, very introverted.
Okay. So perhaps the journey of success on YouTube has a lot to do with you trying to break out of your shell.
Um, Not really. I've had just always had a passion for making content. I mean, that's it. Like, I remember watching people like Captain Sparkles play Minecraft Hunger Games, and it was super episodic, kind of like what you do, where it's it's basically just gameplay at its core, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. And then now, that's actually not what I do, because my stuff is extremely produced, very planned. Like a single short can take. I've spent over a week on a single short, or 2 weeks. I feel like it would be a lot more fun if I didn't have to put so much planning and effort into every video.
You say these words as if you are a slave to the work. If I didn't have to.
I still enjoy it though. I shouldn't say it like that.
You get to decide.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do with that? If something,
What do you
okay,
mean?
here's a lesson that I learned the hardest way possible. So my biggest business historically, I was in lawn mowing and landscaping for the better part of 20 years. And I got my company up to a fairly large size. I had 8 employees, 5 pickup trucks, 4 crews running plus myself. And I was working way too much and getting paid way too little. And I was miserable. And I was drinking every day. And the lesson I learned was, I am in a cage of my own creation. I did this to myself, right? If I hate my job, who else is to blame, right? So we have to look at our content in that lens, and that was the sort of the real reason I went out and sought to make a second channel, right? The idea of burnout, creator burnout, I hear a lot. I was like, why would you possibly ever burn out? Aren't you so full of infinite ideas and just follow the fun, right? It's because we care about our audience, right? So we give, and then at some point it stops being about what's fun for us, and it starts being about what we think they want, what we think they expect. And I think both are valid, right? So I kind of have a yin and yang approach, right? The yin of the Kill Pete strategy, where the shows are produced, and I think about it. I try not to say anything too controversial, too political. We focus on gameplay, we focus on strategy, and then the second channel, where it's more just like the whole point of doing it is to do whatever I want, to play whatever I want to play. And if I do that, that's good enough. And both seem to work for me because that allows me to produce 14 shows a week and not feel like I'm working at all.
Yeah.
Does that seem odd?
No, it makes sense. My solution is actually just that building the company then gives me the financial freedom to just make whatever I want, because then it's not about video performance that I have to base what I produce on, because by having the company, like, I can get so much fewer views but make a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it's purely for the money, because it is about improving, I guess, an industry that's kind of lazy. Server hosting. I haven't mentioned it to my audience before, but I don't know, who cares? I guess I just spilled the tea, whatever people say.
Which is what? Server hosting?
Game server hosting. So
pretend I don't know what that is.
So like with Risk, they have built-in servers for people to be able to play with each other, but people can't do multiplayer in regular Minecraft. Like, they either have to pay for realms, which sucks because there's like no customization, or they can make a multiplayer server, which they can host from their computer for free, but there's a whole lot of problems with that, and it remains an option. But if you want a lot more customization and various things, then you want to buy like a dedicated server that's hosted by a company.
Okay. And that's a fairly profitable business.
Oh yeah. The thing is, you have to have a certain price to it, otherwise it doesn't justify the labor, the actual like machines hosting the servers, and a variety of things. Mainly the support. The support is a little more expensive because it's not as scalable.
Yeah, I know nothing about this, so the words almost blend into themselves for me, right? I'm not a technically savvy person, so you say server host and go, okay, that sounds like computer talk, right?
No, that was
I am an old man.
Not that long ago. I mean, I was in the same boat not that long ago, so
right on. Okay.
It's a huge learning experience. But so right now you're doing full-time YouTube, right?
Yeah.
It's cool.
I'm trying to make a living playing Risk.
What does the daily schedule of the Peatman look like?
Sure. I get up around 9, usually a bit earlier. The cats are hungry. Feed the cats, drink a coffee, lie on the couch for about an hour. And I like look at the numbers, maybe do some YouTube comments, have some conversations on Discord to make sure everything's planned. I tend to shoot a show in the morning. Not every day, but maybe I'll play one of these, a Europe Caps game. They're very popular. I have a couple series on the go, so I like to just keep them all kind of up to date. Sometimes I shoot on Twitch. It's been happening less and less now. But I like shooting live too. I eat lunch late. I eat lunch at about 2:33 even sometimes. I like the intermittent fasting, 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner. Got my cable machine fixed in the basement, so now I had a pretty good gym already, but now I got the cable weights as well, so everything's working out real well.
What's the Peatman split?
Got into running. Oh, the workouts?
Yeah.
I like a 5-day split. I like
Okay.
legs, chest, back, arms, shoulders, and then core. With like, you know, superset core pretty much every day.
You hit opposing muscles at all, like tibs?
Well, yeah, if I'm doing arms, I'll do like tris and bis as a superset. But I like the 5-day. Oh yeah, look at this. Look at this. Blue's not gonna be happy with that.
He wiped out part of my position, so I'm like, nah.
Uh-oh.
Or he was keeping me from getting a bonus is what I mean.
Who says there's gonna be war? There's gonna be no war. Come on. You know how these Caps games go. Yeah. You're into fitness?
Oh yeah. Well, it started, I guess, if I'm gonna give my whole villainous backstory. It started in middle school because I don't know. I started on like the self-improvement journey. It was like a sermon by Andy Stanley, very wise guy. He was like, well, if perfect person doesn't exist, if you find the perfect person, they're not going to be interested in you if you don't become the perfect person, which obviously no one's perfect. So it's, he's not advocating for trying perfection, but achievement mindset or something like that.
Okay.
Not great. Seriously, blue. But, so I'm like, okay, that actually kind of hyped me up. I was in a bad mental state. So I'm like, you know what, let's do that. So I started lifting and then my older brother, he won third in state. He should have gotten first, but he had bad cardio for wrestling. So I'm like, you know what, that would be cool. So in 3 years, I put on 100 pounds so that I could wrestle at state. So
I'm sorry, you put on 100 pounds?
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming you ate a ton too. This isn't all muscle.
It was majority muscle, but yeah.
Holy, wow. Okay, so you're huge.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Oh man, okay, 100 pounds of meat on this guy. Holy fuck. Good for you.
Thank you.
Sounds like a lot of work. You do get obsessed with things. Now I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it is just like genetics, so I can't say it's all working hard. Like my big brother, he was at one point like 300 pounds, but I mean he was not looking good then.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, my younger brother, he's like 260, 250, and he's got D1 scholarship offers from schools for football.
Would that be something you'd be into as well?
No.
Okay.
Always hated football.
Yeah. Don't want to get your head smacked around.
You ever do that?
No, I'm not a sports person at all. I'm more of like a classic nerd. I like Star Trek and Star Wars and Jeopardy. The only show I really watch anymore is Jeopardy. So not to alienate the sports crew or to give away my man card too much, but I'm actually kind of living my dream as a child in a way, right? I used to be like, wow, why does our society glorify athletic achievement to the exception of intellectual achievement? Like, what would a intellectual sports star look like? And then later on the esports thing became a thing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that was me for a long time. I read like 200 Star Wars books. A lot of them were the kids books where it's like 200 pages, not like nothing. But I went through a whole reading phase from 3rd grade to 8th grade until I got a phone, and then something just changed in me. Stopped reading. And then now I'm just I guess my identity has shifted to just more like lift, make videos instead of read and be a nerd.
Oh, you got to do something with your time.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're doing things that benefit you and you find productive, which is nice.
Yep. Yeah, I would not want to do anything else other than the current trajectory I am on.
So have you thought about making like more Risk videos?
No.
Because
The thing is,
your audience doesn't transfer.
my audience doesn't transfer. It's just, opportunity cost. Like, I can get a lot of reach with what I'm already doing. So it wouldn't make sense to do something else, even though it would be a lot of fun. And once you start making content out of it, I feel like that would add a lot to my workload without much benefit. Whereas right now, I mean, it's kind of a small pond,
Well, I didn't know it was a pond at all. It was nothing. And now at
Yeah.
least it's something.
Yeah, you built it up. You and some other dude built it up into something big.
Well, we got a lot more content creators now than when I came around, I'll say that. And that's nice to see. It's cool for me to be able to say something like I'm the first ever professional Risk player, whatever that means, because the channel can evolve, and it will. I'm not ignorant to the future. At some point, I will have to transition away from Risk or add something or whatever. So I could kill you right now. I'm not going to because that would ruin the conversation. But
Yeah,
I could. I'm just making note of the fact that if I was playing this, I would just kill you right now.
Yeah.
It's okay. Why don't you smack Blue?
Well, he could kill me too.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Does slider even really do anything?
Yeah. So what the slider does is, they use an approximation with balance splits. So the more troops you attack, like if the imbalance is so favorable, then you risk losing additional troops, which makes no fucking sense, right? You should never lose more than like 1 or 2 troops, even if you roll 100 stack into a 1 or 1,000 stack into a 1, right? You shouldn't risk 6 troops. The odds of that are also, right, very small. But because they use an estimation, the math just, they need to fix that. So the consolation prize we have this manual clicking thing added to the game to rig the dice, which I really, really heavily dislike, but it's sort of the way it is, and the devs haven't. Last time I spoke to them, at least, they specifically said that they're not going to be defaulting the slider to the way that would make the most sense. So because of that, we're kind of on our own with this. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like if they were to fix anything, the thing that sticks out to me the most is bot behavior. It's so dumb.
Yep. I don't presume to think that the vast majority of players want a good Risk AI. One of the things about Risk, I think, that people don't maybe realize at a glance is when played optimally, all Risk games tend to stalemate.
Yeah.
So the fact that games end at all has to do with suboptimal play. So the better a bot gets, the more likely you have a situation where the game just doesn't end, no matter how good you are. Which isn't a really satisfying game.
Yeah. That's fair.
There are ways to fix that. What are we laughing about? What are we all laughing about here?
Yeah, most games I feel like the reason I have a high win rate is just because I only play when I know I can play for hours on end if need be. So like I just outweigh everyone else, and that's almost always how it goes, which is frustrating. But I mean, if you want to win, It's just patience, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. So that's one. The bot thing is one thing that I think is there, but I wouldn't suggest that if they were to dedicate their time, that would be the first or even the 10th place I would put it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like I think that and I don't know for a fact, but I think that the value that the YouTube and Twitch scene brings to the game, would be something, and by extension, competitive risk in general, would be something that I would imagine the devs would see wise to invest in, just so that we end up with, a self-reinforcing, healthy, competitive community that then puts even more eyeballs and hopefully more players into our
No, I agree.
tournaments and into the game. Right. So the easiest way to do that would be some kind of sandbox mode, right? Allow us to spawn in a preset position, allow us to spawn the blizzards, to spawn the portals, to set the turn order, right? Allow us to change the bonus values, allow us to change the card values. And as soon as you do that, you have a way deeper game and something that is customizable for competition. So you have fair, balanced starts. You remove a lot of the luck and you say, what do you do with this position? How do you win from here? And there could be all sorts of like meta strategies that develop from that. But, we are currently in the doldrums we're currently in like the very sort of earliest nascent stages of this game, right? As far as I can tell.
Yeah. Sounds a lot like the Minecraft approach to doing things.
How did they do it?
Well, I mean, they're all about customization. It's because the whole, I feel like that is the entire reason why Minecraft is so successful, is because the amount of customization is perfect for making content. I can do virtually anything in Minecraft, which is why I find my niche so awesome, because it's just because it's Minecraft, a lot of people will watch. So I have so much freedom to just do whatever comes to mind,
And that's just inherent to the game.
Yeah.
I've never played Minecraft, so it's another old man Pete exposing himself. But when I say that to people, it's like, what? You're a gamer and you never played Minecraft? That's crazy.
It's only the biggest game to
Yeah, I
ever exist.
figured, right? It's enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't historically a gamer. Or rather, I wasn't historically a video gamer. Like I was into like Nintendo and Sega Genesis when I was a kid, but then I knew how addictive it was, and I kind of stepped back from that in my 20s and early 30s because I'm trying to avoid, look at what we do now. We play this game all the time, so I suffer from addiction. And if it is not harnessed for good, then it is harnessed for evil. So thankfully, we figured out a way to both play video games all the time and not destroy our lives.
I feel that.
Yeah.
For me, risk is a vice.
Okay.
Because it doesn't produce, it hurts my sleep, and just yeah.
Well, then make content on it and turn it into a virtue.
Well, the way I'm able to, I feel like, get it out of my head is by reaching Grandmaster and deleting the game. Because then I feel like, oh, that's like the highest I'm. Well, I guess because of the over justification effect, because I have my sights set on just reaching Grandmaster, when I have reached it, I'll naturally feel less inclined to play the game more.
Sure. Okay. I read that comment. Part of Isaiah's pitch here to get me to do the collab here was, he says, I'm going to get to GM and then I'm going to delete risk. And I look at that, I'm like, oh man, that's a bummer. Why?
Yeah.
But now I get why. That's an acceptable reason for me. You have a goal, you have a goal in mind, and you say, that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm going to play this game forever. Right? If I try and get you into a competition, you're like, no, please don't, because, then I have another goal and sucked in more.
Yeah.
The folks in my chat are like, Grandmaster being the highest? Poor guy doesn't realize it's only the beginning. It really is, though. I didn't want to say that, Games a lot, but like it is it's about half.
I'm aware.
It's about half the way. I wouldn't say it's the beginning. I'd say it's about half the way.
No, I get that. It extends beyond Grandmaster, but I mean it's the highest like within the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean I had the same exit approach with Clash of Clans and Clash Royale because let's just say I got the amount of obsessiveness I've had over this game is pales in comparison. Like I would spend 5 hours a day playing Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. I had 13 Clash of Clans accounts, all building so that I could build my own clan and win every clan war. And then I consumed ungodly amounts of content about those games, and like I almost qualified for the World Championships for Clash Royale like a couple years ago, but then I deleted the game because I'm like, it's just not worth my time.
Mm.
So that's what I mean by I'm obsessive, which you already got context previously, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I am, man. I empathize. I figure if I was born later, I would be, similar in that way. But I still have a lot of connection with nature, with being outside, with trying to live an analog life, trying to connect with people. Like my main hobby for what was it? Since about 2012 until COVID was Magic, paper Magic the Gathering Commander. You ever play?
I actually own the board game, but I never played it.
No, Magic the Gathering is a card game.
Or it is?
Magic the Gathering? You know Magic? No?
I just saw it at the store and I bought some sort of box and never opened it.
Okay, there might be a Magic board game, but that's not the game. Magic is a CCG, so it's a collectible card game. It's like I think of it as like a hybrid between chess and poker, right? So Magic is like poker because it's a card game. You draw a hand of hidden information, but then it's like chess because when those cards are on the table, each piece acts as a game piece on a game board that does something different. And it's, they have, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of original cards now. So each piece does something slightly different. And the deck building is a skill, the gameplay is a skill. And the mode I played was tended to be played in 4-player free-for-all groups. So I've been playing a free-for-all game as my main hobby since 2012, unbroken. And I love free-for-all theory. I love like the game theoretical components of the psychology. How do you manipulate your opponents to give you what you want, and eventually negotiate a win out of that? That's really satisfying to me, right? How do you leverage your empathy? How do you leverage your understanding of others? And it worked in the Risk community in its own very interesting way. Like this is a beautiful community. I love it. I've made so many friends here. So the game for me extends out into having conversations on Discord and helping host tournaments and helping teach people how to play if they ask me. I wish I could do that more, right? But the incoming would just be incessant. So I usually just say, all right, well, watch the show, or maybe I'll have a link for you if, but hey, Pete, can you do any coaching? It's like, buddy, I can't charge you enough to make it worth anyone's while. We'd both lose.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
I've gotten a similar request about like building stuff for people, which I mean it's a little bit of a different story, but I'm like, well, I could build for one person or for millions. Yep.
Millions is more appealing. More worth your time, I'd say.
Yeah.
What's your core motivation? Like, why are you doing this? Do you want to be rich? You want to be famous? Like, what is it?
Well, actually, I had the same question for you, but
okay.
I'll answer first then. Since you asked first. Well, I feel like this is where it starts to blend into our planned conversation about God and religion, because I believe it's my purpose. I believe everything that I'm doing now is except for risk, is a trajectory towards my purpose.
Okay.
Which is utilizing my influence, like building influence and utilizing it for good. And it goes a lot deeper than that, but I'm not gonna share it on a live stream.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a purpose thing, and like honestly, I could live just such an average lifestyle my entire life, and I would not care. It would not affect me negatively. What I care about is making an impact the most, and that doesn't make me some altruist because I feel like I do it almost like out of selfish motivation. With
Yep.
I just feel pulled towards that.
Well, I feel like this, and you might have gotten this before, so apologies if it comes out of left field and it seems super blunt, but isn't that an incredibly arrogant way to think? Like to presume that you can help others.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do with that question?
Can you explain further? What do you
Sure.
what do you
Okay.
mean?
So when I was a teenager, I would talk about politics and I'd talk about philosophy. I'd be like, wow, this is so obviously wrong, right? Can't you see that it's wrong? And everyone would agree with me that it's wrong, but nobody would agree with me on what the solution was or how to propose a solution at all. And as I got older, I realized that my confidence in being able to offer a solution was basically a logical fallacy. You know, I was incredibly overconfident to presume to understand the problem well enough to articulate what the problem is, and then much more importantly, B, to presume to tell anyone that I'm smart enough to be able to fix it. And that sort of humility, that realization that this is fucked, here's how you fix it, because I'm so smart, I'm here to help you, was actually a very arrogant juvenile position to take. That has kind of informed the way I look at systems and problems and solutions these days, right? I spend a lot more time listening. Maybe not today. I feel like I'm talking more than you are, but in general, I spend a lot more time listening to people than talking.
No, that's fair. I've actually wrestled with that because I mean, that's actually where my insecurity lies, because I feel like I need to build myself up into the kind of person that almost like has the right to be heard instead of brushed aside.
Yeah, bingo, man. Yep.
Whereas, I don't know. I mean,
you're allowed to be selfish. You're a person, right?
Yeah.
I think we also have this this overall cultural expectation of perfection and virtue that I don't share, right? I'm open and brutally honest with myself and everyone here that I'm a flawed, you know, shitty person at times, right? That's normal, right? So I have a lot of empathy and forgiveness for myself for my imperfection, and I don't pretend to be perfect. I think as soon as you can get there, as soon as you can have, you know, real humility with yourself, then you can at least approach the beginning of personal growth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But as far as purpose goes, that's also a kind of a way I used to think that I don't really think anymore. I think there is so I'm pretty much like a determinist. I pretty much think that the story of your life is already written, and you just don't get to know. And that's actually part of what makes your subjective experience of life beautiful, is the fact that you don't get to know. And it also kind of releases me from any sort of heavy deontological sort of obligation to show up in ways that I can't or won't. I'll try my
Yeah.
best to be an ethical person, but I don't hold myself to an unrealistic standard. And I also don't pretend to know, right? I don't live in a vacuum, so how do I know what the right thing to do is?
So what do you believe is, or so you don't believe that there's an objective moral standard?
No, not at all.
Hmm.
Not at all. And I think that is born of like all of my studies of ethics and all of my life experiences and like reading Kant. And I don't pretend to fully understand him. He's obviously way more brilliant than me, but just for folks listening, Immanuel Kant is most famous for his phrasing of what he called the categorical imperative. So it's the way we would look at the golden rule. Kant says, act according to that maxim, that you would will it to be a universal law. Basically saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or however you want to phrase it. But the point is that if you could universalize your action in all cases, if you would universalize your actions in all cases, then your actions could be said to be moral. And I just don't think that's possible. Right? I think there's always context and there's always subjectivity, and
Yeah.
we in our nature, that's my take at least, we as humans in our nature are subjectivity. That's what makes our lives beautiful.
So that leads into the obvious next question of, well, what stops you from acting immorally if you can get away with it?
Nothing. I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that question applies or exists. Right? I act as morally as I choose to. And I choose to act morally by my own standard because I love myself and I'm a person. And I understand that I'm not separate from you. We are both people, right? And we are far more the same than we are different. So any sort of immoral act upon you would only really be harming myself in the long run. And that's kind of how I reconcile the right. My vision of humanity is not a bunch of discrete, separate apes that live in houses and have jobs and contribute to the economy. I think we are a giant ant colony. We live and die. We thrive or fail because of each other. So I'm trying to figure out how to contribute, how to be the best version of myself here, today, right now. How do I show up as the best possible Pete, not only for me, but for you? And I guess that's still deontological, right? That's my duty. That's how I sort of parse it. But it's not external. It's not based on any sort of rule. It's a choice I make because I learned how to finally love myself. And it turns out that you and I are the same, right? You have hopes and
What do you?
dreams, and you
Sure.
were born of your mother, and you will die, and you will live your precious, beautiful, and brief life wanting very similar things that I want. So showing you love is in a very real way, showing myself love, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, can't say that I haven't dealt with that view before, because I feel like that is the natural view that you have to hold if you don't believe in um I guess an omnipotent, omniscient, benevolent God, while also not just going around killing people just cause.
No, I actually think I believe in I believe in the infinite power of God, right? I think I am a believer. I'm just not a believer in any sort of thing that is popular or talked about. My
Okay,
concept
so
my concept of God is very I mean, it's informed by a lot that I've read and watched, but it's kind of my own.
what is your concept of God?
Sure. So there's I think it's a Hebrew saying, right? It's like if there was this omnipotent, omniscient being, what would they lack, if anything? And the answer is they would lack limitation. So the reason for us to exist in our limited way, right? The reason we have both the infinite power of creation, right? The fact that our adaptation as an animal is to invent things that don't exist from ideas in our head, right? That pop into our head from nowhere. And then we manifest this creation in the world, right? The fact that we have that power of God, that minute, tiny power of God, but still power of creation. Look what we do with it, right? We create this whole world. But we are limited, right? We live in these bags of meat that age and die. We are the inflection point between that omnipotent, omniscient power, infinite power, and the real world, right? The physical reality that we inhabit. And we are each a teeny tiny shard of God experiencing life subjectively. So that's kind of how I reconcile the two. You know, I'm a tiny piece of that omnipotence, and so are you. We just get that tiny piece. That's all we get.
So kind of like a panentheistic perspective or pantheism?
I'll look up the term pantheism.
Well, there's panentheism and pantheism.
Okay, so
And I'm pretty
pantheism says a doctrine which identifies God with the universe, yes. And the universe is a manifestation of God, yes. And what's panentheism?
I feel like that's like almost each part of the universe, I suppose. Like, I guess you and me are almost like pockets of God. And
Right. Yes, pretty much.
okay, so gotcha.
Yeah. Panentheism asserts that all is God, claims that God is greater than the universe. Interesting. Yeah, I never knew these terms, but yeah, they're pretty accurate.
Mm.
Do you like that or you do not like that?
Like what specifically?
Well, do you like what parts of that speak to you and what parts of that don't?
Well, I think I am a Christian. I believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ and everything that comes from that, like the Bible, its happenings. So I don't ascribe or subscribe to that perspective now.
Okay. And you self-identify with these teachings because of what?
Because of, well, I'm sure an influence is that, you know, I was brought up with it. Like, my parents are Christians. I attended a rigorous Christian school from kindergarten to 7th grade, and you know, I'm studying, or I go to church, or studying theology. So a lot of it is just what I've been born into, and I've wrestled with that because I realize, well, if I was born into something else, would I have the same perspective?
Yes.
I suppose that's something that everyone has to wrestle with, and it's not a defeater of any belief.
Yeah, I'm certainly not trying to defeat anyone's belief, right? If it's good, if it benefits you in any way, then good for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I personally, but the thing is, I feel like what separates Christianity from any other religion or system of belief is that it is divinely inspired, which, I mean, every religion is going to assert that. Well, most every theistic religion, of course, Buddhism isn't a theistic religion, but I with things like historical evidence of Jesus's resurrection, and then also mainly just the reliability of Scripture, I feel like is the basis that separates Christianity from anything else. What is your understanding of Christianity, and how much have you wrestled with it?
Well, I'm Jew, so I was raised as a secular Jew. So my mom converted So according to very Orthodox people, I would be considered not Jewish because my mother was not born Jewish. I am culturally Jewish, but I am non-religious. I understand a lot more of the history around the Old Testament specifically, because I did go to Jewish school. I did have a bar mitzvah, but I find religion interesting as a subject. I like history a lot, so I really like comparing different religions and seeing the ways in which the stories are consistent, the ways they aren't, and the ways in which we tell ourselves these stories. For instance, the current dominant religion is not Christianity, right? I use the word religion very broadly, but our Western traditions are and have been Christian for almost 1,500 years, right? Christianity was dominant for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I think the modern religion is way scarier, right? That it's non-theistic and lacks any sort of overall moral code, right? Because not everyone has the interest to think about it on this level. So we end up with a lot of very hurt and confused people. But I would say I know more about Christianity than the average person, but I probably not more than a devout Christian. That's basically where I would put my answer to your question. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree about the current dominant religion of postmodernism being very, very damaging.
Well, I mean, people need a North Star. People need a guiding light. And if that guiding light isn't hopeful and optimistic and life affirming, then where are we going, right? The way I ask one of the big philosophical questions for me in my life is, what is the definition of progress? And the reason I ask that is because, inherent to the human animal is the idea of progress. We are building something. It's what we do. But if we can't agree on where we're going, then we're just going to keep hurting ourselves and each other, right?
Yeah.
And as I already said earlier, those are one and the same.
So naturally, we have to dive into the implications of your worldview.
Sure, I'd love to. Man. I love this. This is so much fun for me.
Such as, what do you believe in terms of an afterlife? Do you believe that there is an afterlife?
Here, let me refill my cup of coffee, and then we can talk about what happens when you die.
Gotcha.
1 minute.
What is up, viewers? I haven't been responding. Sorry. What's up, P11, Salty, JC, Laura Churchill, Blue Boy, and Big Black Bowler. Let's get to 10 likes. Yes, if we can get to 10 likes, that would be awesome. Yeah, today is a bit different. After I reach Grandmaster pretty soon, I'm deleting Risk, and then you'll see a lot more Minecraft content from me. But I just thought this would be fun, so I'm like, why not? Which is better, goldfish or silver whales? I'm assuming silver whales is a snack. I haven't had that.
All right. We're back. We're caffeinated.
Welcome.
Do you drink a lot of coffee?
No, I stay away from caffeine.
Oh, good for you. I can't beat that one. Yeah, I'm not powerful enough. And you know what? I never really considered it a vice. Probably is, though.
I mean, it's not. It kind of is for some people.
Exactly.
It depends.
Exactly. Okay, so my answer to the question, what do I think happens after we die, is this. We understand, according to our science, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and our minds are like a algorithm operating on a meat computer that is electrical. That's all of that we mostly agree with, or can we accept that as the starting position? Your mind is like a program running on a meat computer that is mostly electrical.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but we can start with that.
Okay, so that's my perspective leading into, if that's true, then rather than having a energy pattern of you persist like a ghost, something of your energy does. And it's hard to say, like it diffuses, and it might diffuse slowly and it might diffuse quickly. And there is, genetic immortality in our children. But as far as what happens to me when I die, I think the pattern of energy that my mind is dissipates, and I think the point of focus where I, as a meaningful term, exist and interact with the world ceases to be. So I don't think that there is an afterlife. I think the time I'm spending in this life here is the time I have. And when I'm done, that's all I get.
Going for the kill, I see.
No, I'm just taking a peek.
Gotcha. I suppose it would be against the rules for me to ask you if you find any information from that peak.
Oh, I found a ton of information. And you can ask everything you'd like to ask. I just don't have to tell you.
That's good.
What do you think happens when we die?
Well, I believe that there's a... Ooh, he wants me to open up his cap. I don't know if I should. Should I just be like, nah?
Is this VC team on the guys not in VC game, or would you like to progress the game against these guys? Because then they probably just suicided because they can hear me. So if I work with you, then they're just going to team on us, right? Which would be how I would play it.
I wouldn't team. I feel like that's unfair.
It does seem unfair. Exactly. Let's just keep enjoying our conversation. What do you think happens? What's your idea? Is it a fairly strictly Christian perspective or what?
Yeah. Well, naturally I'm going to adhere to what scripture says. It's not super clear on what exactly it is, if it is physical or purely spiritual. I'm pretty sure it hints towards a somewhat physical reality. The main thing is that it is pure bliss because it is closeness with God. And yeah. I mean, it's essentially like the sort of union that people don't get to experience because of separation. I mean, how familiar are you with the Christian account, like just general like history of sorry, my thoughts are a little scattered. I'm a little distracted by the game. But
yeah, you weren't expecting to see that, huh? What are you going to do about that? You going to do something? Yeah!
I don't want to open up his cap, so I'm just going to do that. But, yeah, so how familiar are you with the Christian account of like Adam and Eve, Abraham, story of Israel, Jesus is like leading up to Jesus, and then the work of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I say the first half, right? I have a better understanding of the Jewish part of the story. As soon as you get to the New Testament, my my knowledge drops off a cliff.
Okay. Right. So where was the train I was on? This is why I wrote out a bunch of questions.
No, I love it. I love it. This is so good, right? We're having such. I don't know about you, but I find this so fun. This is super interesting. So yeah, thank you for the offer. And yeah, man, please tell me what you think.
Yeah. So right. So the question was Christian or the afterlife, what it looks like for Christianity. Yeah. So in the story of Adam and Eve, I mean, obviously it's debated whether it's symbolic or literal. I tend to lean towards the literal interpretation. All right, yeah, you can have that bonus, whatever.
Black just wants the whole map. Let's just let him have everything. It's fine. It'll be fine.
I mean, it's progressive. Who cares? Yeah. Right. So, in the story of Adam and Eve, there is, because of their sin, they are separated from God. They lose their connection, and in a way that is ultimate suffering. And suffering is just distance from God. And distance from God means death. And so in a way, that's what the afterlife is. That's what heaven is. At least if someone is going to heaven, if they have faith in the gospel, in Jesus and his work. And it's ultimately like a closing of the loop of going back to the original state of humanity and being with God. There you go. And so in that sense, that is what I can say for sure is backed by Christian thought. Yeah, I tend to run out of steam pretty quickly during live streams, so my brain is not functioning at the same level.
Yeah, and the game actually started to get interesting, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to just ask me questions and I can answer them to the best of my ability?
Yeah. So yeah, and then also I wanted to clarify before we got into this discussion that I'm not an expert. I'm on my journey of learning. So
hey, thank you, Bane.
I don't think anyone is an expert. No human is an expert on anything. Like no one has ultimate knowledge. All right. So
yeah, I don't pretend to speak from a place of expertise.
So the question. So I guess the natural next question is, what gives you confidence in your system of belief that, like, why is what you believe right, but a lot of other systems of thinking is wrong, especially religious traditions that have stood for like thousands of years?
That's a good question. Why are other religious traditions wrong? I don't think anyone got it. I think anyone got it right. Oh, what happened? That's really weird. I don't think anyone got it wrong. I think we're asking an impossible question. That's how I would answer it. The arrogance of man, right? The arrogance of man to presume that they can speak about the infinite. And then the arrogance of man to presume that they are right and other people should listen to what I say and do as I say. Right? That's my take, really. Right? It all comes down to a logical fallacy. That's what it is. Belief, right? But faith. Faith is, once you make the one leap, everything else is super logical. So it can be a single, arrogant misunderstanding that puts you in a spot where you fit, right? You have community again. You have purpose. You have order. Your story makes sense, right? All of that. You know, just a little, just a little calculation error. That's all.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't see it that way, right? You're in service. You're in service to the heathens, right? Those who know not, right? Those who would be benefit by the understanding.
I mean, I don't see it as like almost like you're educating, or almost like, oh, I have this. Well, I mean, I do see it as like Christianity has it right, which I don't know, that a lot of people have some hesitation to be like, well, my system of belief is right and yours is wrong, because it's like, in a way, there is a level of arrogance, like, I feel like you would say, because it's like, okay, well, who am I to say it? But as I said, I base it on strong belief that it is God rather than man. And that's why every other belief system, I personally believe, is wrong, because Christianity, I believe, is the one.
Yeah, so your leap of faith here is the presumption that you have the ability to access the Word of God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
you take that on faith. You take the scriptures you've been given as the Word of God, and as soon as you do that, everything else you believe makes perfect, neat, logical sense.
Yeah.
Can I share with you the way in which I lost my faith in that?
Yeah.
Sure. So I was, let's say I would have been 7 or 8 years old. Maybe a touch older. 8 or 9, something like that. And the story of the binding of Isaac, right? The tale where so the story goes like this, folks, and I'm sorry if you've heard this one before, but I'll share it with you because it was a poignant one for me. Abraham, the patriarch of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, was an old man who was without children, and that was seen as such an unacceptable tragedy. And he begged God to give him a son. Please, please, please give me a son. Eventually, God relented, and they bore a son. And then, yeah, good game, man. And then, in order to prove to God that he was a person of faith, God told Abraham to bind his beloved son Isaac on the altar of sacrifice. And as he was about to slit his son's throat in a display of faith, God stopped him and said, all right, you've proven that you have faith. You do not need to sacrifice your son. And I recall that story with such intensity because as soon as I heard it, I was like, what kind of a pathetic loser God must be if he required you to show your faith like that. right? By tricking you into threatening to murder your beloved child, right? That seemed like the furthest thing from any sort of casual ethic I could imagine, right? That is the most broken, if that's true, if that story is true, that's the most broken deity I could imagine. And that's what broke it for me. And from then on, I couldn't really look at the stories as anything other than, these really sad, outdated allegories that were useful in their day. They helped people. They helped people find a moral compass. The world was brutal. And to this day, they still help people. Like, I don't presume to say, I'm not here to shit on religion, I often, I like to remind folks, if it benefits you, if it makes you more generous, if it makes your life better, if it helps you find purpose, that's all good, right? But if it makes you tell yourself a story where it makes sense for you to kill a child, then I gotta tell you, man, I'm not reading that book much further. Sorry. That's my take, man.
I see. So it's almost like, would you characterize it as almost like a resentment against popular characterization of God?
Resentment. No, the word I'd use is bullshit. Right? It is a logical fallacy, right? It's like, this is not, it is internally inconsistent. I like logic. I happen to be reasonably strong at logic. So when I see fallacies, I'm go, that smells, my bullshit meter goes off. That smells. I want to know why it smells. I want to understand the way in which it smells. I want my world to make sense. And I don't care if yours, I don't care for your world to make sense to me. I don't need you to. I don't need you to conform to my box, to my parameters. I love and respect your opinions. I love and respect your freedom. I want you to be free to choose. I want you to be free to fully actualize yourself. Right? But I just don't want to be told what to think. I find the audacity of that to be shocking, that anyone would presume to limit the one thing I actually have freedom over in this world, which is the freedom to decide what I think is true.
So when you say there's a sense of, I guess you could say, arrogance in that belief, in believing that you can determine as a mortal being what the truth is.
I don't. Yeah. I don't pretend to have any sort of access to, this is how my sort of metaphysics and epistemology goes. I think of it as, like the quantum superposition.
I am not aware of what that is.
Okay, so physics. So quantum physics, the quanta, right? The photon is the quantum for light, right? Photon is a particle that carries light. The Higgs boson is a particle that carries mass, right? We discovered the Higgs boson in the last couple of years using a massive, it's called the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. So the smallest microscopes we have give us information that tells us that there are these things called quanta. And these quanta determine certain fundamental truths about reality. So this is metaphysics, right? And then my epistemology is, as far as belief, reality. So metaphysics is reality, not belief, but knowledge. The word is knowledge. Epistemology is theories of knowledge. So can I know anything to be true? And if so, what? So I'm kind of a Cartesian skeptic in that regard. I don't think we have access to base reality. I think of my beliefs as in a quantum superposition. So there's this famous double slit experiment where light is treated as both a particle and a wave depending on when it is being observed. If light is being observed, it changes. So it is then said that the quanta exist in a superposition until observed. This is called the observer effect, and that's kind of how I think about my beliefs, right? There isn't a single bedrock base reality, but rather some kind of bunch of possible states that can be true, but are only become capital T true when observed. It's almost like these quanta are the pixels of our reality, and reality is a simulation, but we don't need to go down that one.
Yeah, that is a great topic.
Especially considering this game is almost over. How
do
are
I
you
win this,
how are
by
you
the
going to
way?
get out of it? Do you want me to help like coach you here?
Yeah, I don't know how to do this.
You're in a really tough spot. So you fortified a lot out. That's good. The problem is you're really he's got you pretty well blocked off. So he opened your capital there. The way you win this is you don't give him any capital cards, while also ensuring that you don't get card blocked.
Okay.
I know, seems easy to say.
So how
a lot of board. That's pretty good.
How does this like Ooh. How does this not get stalemated?
Oh, this isn't stalemated. This game is ending. One of you guys will beat the other one in a 1v1. The stalemate part of this game is over. This is now this is a strategic 1v1.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're new to this. It's okay. I don't think anyone's going to judge you. We've all been here in this situation as Risk players. We've all found ourselves in this sort of caps endgame where our opponent is trying to card block us, and we can sort of feel the noose tightening, but we don't quite know how to get out of it. And that's okay. It's part of what makes this mode the meta, because at the very top you can outskill in this way, right? You can be outskilled. So at least in that regard, the leaderboard is a bit meritorious, right? Those at the top, when they play this and they play this at the top level, you know, those wins are skill based more than luck based. What are the sets?
320.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's.
Do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to help you, or?
Yeah, that would be appreciated.
Do you have a trade?
No.
Okay, so you have one more card, and then you're likely to have a trade on 4. So you're gonna have to give up one of these capitals. Now, which one do you like? Which one do you think is better?
I mean, this one is next to another.
Yeah, I think your 843 is better. So take your card and put the rest of your troops on the 700.
Okay. But you said move all these.
No, stay on the cap. Stay on the cap. Stay on the cap. Did you split? No. Okay, move now. Move now. Move now. Move up. Move up. No, not back to cap. Fuck. Now your card. Now your card.
So confused.
Do you have a set?
Yes.
Okay.
Thankful.
Okay. He knows that you have a set because you're more likely to have a set than not, and he's listening to us talk. So you might be boned, but that's okay, because I think this made for an excellent show, and I had a great time with you, and I really enjoyed chatting with you. Was there anything that we didn't get to that you want to before we end?
I mean, obviously, the topics that we were trying to cover.
Let's do it, man. Like, give me. We got like 20-ish minutes. Give me what you got.
Yeah. After the stream, I'll definitely have to digest what you were saying right before I.
Yep.
Before I get murdered by this dude, but so what do I do here?
Down. Take the Spain cap and also the London cap, and then fortify your 882 to one of them.
Cool.
Probably the Spain cap, since there's no troops on it. You've earned yourself a couple of cards now. This delays the outcome.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like we've hit a lot on. Okay, so let's go back to more of a practical perspective. Since you believe that there is no objective truth, um, not just like why wouldn't anyone do whatever they want? Because obviously, like you have a utilitarian perspective of like, well, it's like what would yield the best outcome for me. But like, why do you personally like? What would stop you from like committing the perfect crime?
Nothing.
Like
Me.
nothing.
I stop me.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to care enough about myself to not be. And crime isn't even the best way I'd put it, right? I like to distinguish between morality and law. I think our law is woefully out of date compared to where our ethics should be. Oh, yeah, we got a bloodbath now, baby. This is a real 1v1. I like this a lot.
Bro, how do you?
I think this is anyone's game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're losing anymore. I think you were in trouble, but you got out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. Here, let me get another cup of coffee.
Okay.
All right. Looking at 4 of the 6 capitals.
Yeah.
Have we insured our future of cards well?
I don't know.
Okay. So a couple of basic principles for Risk 1v1s is the most important thing in a Risk 1v1 is to not let your opponent hold bonuses.
Okay.
The second most important thing is to not let them generate extra troops, so by minimizing their territory count. And the third most important thing is to hold your own bonuses. There's an additional layer, though, with caps. You want to keep their caps closed, ideally. So now that you've opened one, you might as well hit everything around it. Yeah, exactly. That's a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know who wins this game. Do you know how to card block at all? Have you ever practiced this? Okay.
I mean, I've seen you do it, but I haven't done it myself.
Well, we're learning trial by fire here. All right. So what was the question? You said something about me not believing in base reality or truth is what you said.
Objective
objective truth. I actually think it's more complicated than that, but that's a fair way to put it, I suppose. Right? I think there is a base reality that is objectively true. I just don't know that we have access to it. I think we access something that is close to it.
Okay.
But that seems like a cop-out way of talking, so I don't need to not be precise about what I'm saying.
Is this the right play? Just hitting
smacking
really hard?
Stacks? It can be. It can be. Your most important job is just make sure you always have a next card.
Gotcha. Well, I'm keeping these over here and then all these. Yep. So
yeah. He's putting a lot of troops into trying to card block you, so your troop count will build. But if you ever get card blocked, it's going to be real hard for you to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the question was like, so I really like how you're well thought out in your thoughts, even though I would disagree. And
Oh yeah,
I think
please feel free to disagree, right? That's how I'm going to get better. That's how my thoughts are going to become more coherent and more true, whatever that word means, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. As I'm getting my cup of coffee, I'm saying to my girl, I'm like, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun here. I love challenging conversations where, you're free to be wrong and you're also sort of put upon to figure out what's actually true, what you actually think. Because I don't know that I know what I actually think unless examined, right? That's that quantum superposition, right? What do you believe is true? Well, let's look at it. Now he's just smacking the shit out of you. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not gonna do that. Shut. Yeah, I feel like someone that man, it's hard to think and play at the same time.
Indeed. Hey, thank you, Andre. Thanks, bro.
It reminds me a lot of have you heard of Alex O'Connor?
No, tell me.
So he was a Christian. He went to college for theology. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. And he fervently studied it, but he just couldn't accept it. And I wrestled with that for a long time because he's a really smart guy. And so I'm like, how could you not accept it? How could you not come to the same conclusion? But I feel like well, more so my question was like, why? Man, okay. Really bad at multitasking, but I guess everyone is.
It's very normal for this type of show. So I have a podcast series where we do this, right? I would interview a Risk player. We play whatever they wanted, and we talk about Risk, we talk about themselves, and it was very consistent that when people would play, they would also struggle with talking at the same time. So you're not unique here.
Yeah. So let me do this. Yeah. So Alex, I was questioning okay, what would tip him over the edge? What is this fundamental difference that keeps him from arriving at the conclusions of the Christian faith? And so what it seems to me is it's a similar answer to my question that I was like, okay, Jordan Peterson, I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yep, absolutely.
Because he's been kind of wrestling with what he believes and does he believe Christianity as literal, the creation account and everything. He's been wrestling with that for a lot these last few years because he finds a lot of value and a lot of desire to believe it's true, but he just can't quite bridge the gap. And so my conclusion is this almost sounds insulting, but I feel like he's almost too much in his own head and he can't accept things as true.
That's a great criticism of Jordan Peterson, though. That's one of the best. There's so much bullshit criticisms of him, right? There's so many people who presume to think they're more intelligent than a Harvard psychology professor who's one of the most successful people, one of the most successful authors, one of the most successful YouTubers, right? That's not the criticism of Jordan Peterson. The criticism of Jordan Peterson is he doesn't know how to talk to you because he's so distracted talking to himself. That's the big one, right?
Gotcha.
In my take, I've gotten a lot of benefit from his work, right? And then I also kind of bear witness to the vitriol that he experiences as a psychology professor, and I'm just the world might be a whole lot sicker than I thought. Right? If a person's saying mostly reasonable things and every once in a while something kind of out of left field. is vilified to that extent, it's like it bodes poorly for our collective mental health, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I leave like a big stack out?
Yeah, why not? You want to leave a big stack out in a place where it can't get smacked easily.
Okay.
You also, I don't want to tell you, but I think you can probably figure out how to cap run. Because he's leaving himself. Okay, now he sets on 3. He's leaving himself a little vulnerable to cap run. He's gonna smack it. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's not the end of the world. Sets up that block again.
Ah.
We might not make it to the end. I gotta get back to risk competitions. But sorry, what was the question? Where were we?
Right. So I feel like at these kind of disagreements at its core, it's like always about just a fundamental understanding of epistemology. Like it's exactly what you were saying. It's
Yep.
If you can't really bridge the gap between like, oh, I only accept empirical thought as true, then you're never gonna be able to or you could never. Well, actually, I believe you can believe in empiricism, and believe in Jesus as God and everything that comes with that, because of the evidence for his resurrection and Gary Habermas makes a really good. Still telling me to hurry up.
Yep. Hey man, don't let him win the psychological game either. Do not be trolled into submission.
I will not.
Good. Okay, Habermas. Yes. What does Habermas have to say about this?
Well, he provides a really good historical account, like historical proof of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, like airtight. No one's able to disprove it completely.
Okay.
He's just hitting me. I mean, of course, you can say like, there's always going to be a level of suspended disbelief that people have, that like, oh well, everyone involved was lying, which is possible. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people could lie about such a thing and then die for it, but I find that unlikely. I'm doing a really bad job of
that's okay. Your attention is pulled in too many directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can do Ask Pete questions and Isaiah plays.
Yeah. Okay. So, add more to this stack so I can smack them. Yeah. What time do you have to go?
In about 10 more minutes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I'll definitely have to rewatch a lot of the stream so I can digest more of what you said, because the thing you're talking about, the quantum stuff, I was not computing that.
Yeah. How do I say it in the simplest English possible? The way I think about my own beliefs is, until the belief is observed, it doesn't really exist. So a lot of people are overconfident in what they believe. A lot of people use the word truth to describe opinion.
Yeah.
And what I like, yeah, well, but that's bullshit, right? Yeah. That is a bastardization of the word. if something is a matter of opinion, then it is not true. It might be true. This is how logic works. So if you look at something and you observe it, only then does it become something that is in the realm of your empirical understanding, right? So only until observed can we say whether or not what we think it even has the possibility of accessing truth. And then because I'm a Cartesian skeptic, I would say that that it is far more likely that I am experiencing a incomplete picture of reality as opposed to the truth, right? I don't think I have the ability to access the truth, although I do think it does exist. I guess. And this is where I get Weasley, and I think this is where it's obvious that I haven't really gotten to the bottom of what I think. So, thank you for helping me try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I cannot think well.
It's okay. I'm enjoying watching the 1v1. And I hope a lot of the folks on Twitch are as well. I don't think we're going to get our catharsis, guys. I don't think we're going to know who finishes this game.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to check out the stream on the Pryor Gaming YouTube channel.
Well, so that's what we're going to do. If I may, I'm going to happily put this up on YouTube. And if I may, maybe give me the copy of the end of the game so that I can cut it into the video,
Sure.
and we can actually have have the catharsis, have the end state of this. And you are super bright,
Thank you.
very pleasant to talk to as well. I really appreciated how I never felt like there was any agenda to your questions. They were just curiosity, and I like having a no pressure type conversation about ideas. Yeah. It's one of my very, very favorite things to do in the world. It is. Well, why do you think I'm a lifelong philosophy student, right? Oh, we got a good roll too. Oh no. Oh. All right.
Oh, is this his strategy? He's just gonna hole up and that could be smart. But yeah, it would be really arrogant of me to assume that like I'll come up with something that you have not thought of. Someone who's thought about this stuff for like 3 times as long as me. Because I mean,
I'm still no closer to getting to the truth, though, right? It's really complicated. People are so much more complicated than maybe we give ourselves credit for. Oh, he's giving you the win. Oh, he's giving you the win. All right, GG.
Huh.
GG, bro.
Well, I can say I beat the world champion Risk player.
Oh yeah, and you beat 4 other hot shots here. So well played.
Oh,
well played.
I didn't know we were playing with.
Oh, everyone in this game, as far as I could tell, knew what they were doing. So no shade at anybody.
Dang, I did not expect to win. That's crazy.
That's free for all though. Sometimes, eh? Hey, thank you, Isaiah. Did. Thank you for offering to do this, man.
Yeah, no problem. This was an absolute blast. I did not expect this to actually happen. Oh, yes. Of course.
You thought I'd decline?
Well, most people do.
Yeah, that's fine.
I reach out to a lot of people.
I'm not most people. Let's do it again. Let's do some kind of collab.
Yeah.
Again, because I would love to, and also just follow up, right? Ask me whatever you want to ask me. Maybe when you have time to think about it, and we'll see how much of my own beliefs are that same sort of smelly bullshit, right?
Yeah, I'll definitely like take notes. I'll watch the stream and then figure out, like follow up on a lot of different things.
Cool. Well, GG. Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a blast. That was really fun. Holy shit. That was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. But like I just want to show you guys the pitch, right? He pings me in my server and he goes, was it in general or was it in risk? It was in risk. He pings me in my server. He goes, "Hey, Pete, I'm a fellow content creator. I make Minecraft/TikTok shorts. I've relapsed into obsessing over Risk. I'm a couple games away from reaching Grandmaster, upon which I will delete the game. I've watched 100 plus of your videos to learn strategy, but I noticed that you also love philosophy. I'm aware of your stance on religion, and I am a theology major, so I'm curious to know if you would co-stream a game of Risk with me this week and have a fun discussion." It was. Thank you, Isaiah. I'm going to link to Isaiah's stuff in case you want to check out more of him. And I would just like to say I will be very intolerant of any negative vibes in the comments as usual, right? Beginning the show and ending the show with "I love you. I don't care what you believe. And you don't get to care about what I believe. We care about each other." Okay, guys? Just sending out a message of love. I'm not pretending to be right. I don't know what's true. And that's part of the beauty of life, is figuring that out, okay? So thank you, folks. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to my channels. Come along the ride with me. I have a daily release on Free Pete, a daily release on the Kill Pete strategy. I do weekday streams on Twitch. We're on the weekend right now because we're competing in the Risk World Cup. So wish me luck, folks. I love you. I appreciate you. For all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.